Welcome everyone to our second spotlight. Today we're joined by Nadav, a technical designer at Wix who built the DevStudio website, and Vargab, who's the head of Wix India, who gave one of the keynotes at the conference. In the first half of the spotlight, Nadav is going to take us through the design and implementation of devstudio.com. And in the second half, our Gob's going to be giving us a retrospective on all the very exciting things that happened at the conference and key takeaways, whether you attended or not. I'm sure you're going to find it interesting. For Nadav's presentation, he's also provided us some useful links. So in just a moment, I'll share those in the chat. They're always good to freshen up on if you are interested in some of the concepts he's talking about. And also, before we start, we're always looking for more spotlight sessions and definitely want to involve our community. So if you want to sign up, then answer a Google form that I'm also going to share in the chat in just a second. But anyways, let's get started. So Nadav, if you want to take it away and maybe give a little bit of an intro about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Anthony. Great to give this talk about the DevCon homepage. So I'm a technical designer at the marketing department of Wix Studio. This basically means that I'm working with a team of people that we basically build all the Wix Studio pages that you can see online. We use the exact same tools that our users use. We don't have anything special or anything. We use the exact same things. Building the DevCon webpage and developing the registration system, which I will further talk about later, um, was um, was our responsibility. Um, so yeah, I'll be happy to expand on that. I'll just share my screen. Okay. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. Today I want to share with you a bit about the process of building this web page. I think it's a very unique example to learn from because I think it really takes full advantage of all the features that Wix Studio that the platform has to offer in the perspective of building and the layout and building the site, but also using code and using and developing tools alongside with building the site. We also developed a registration system that the applicants who wanted to sign up um, signed up through. Um, so yeah, what I want to do is go into the website and go section by section and show a few interesting solutions that I think we came up with. Hopefully to give you some tips that you can take along with you. Um, just to briefly go through the site before I dive in. So if you don't know it, you should check it out. As you can see, it's really a gorgeous website. I think the design team did an exceptional job here. It's filled with interactions and very cool effects. Um, I think what was really special about this project is that usually when we build websites for the Wix Studio and marketing assets, we tend to try to use as less code as possible in order to show what we can achieve with the platform as it is. So our users would have like nice examples. But in this case, because this conference is for the developer community, we really encourage our designers to, take it to the maximum and we challenge ourselves to solve their dreams and their designs, really without compromising on anything. And yeah, so in that matter, I think it was a really cool project, and I'm really glad I got to lead the technical aspects of it. So I'm going to to start and dive in, starting section by section, and share with you some of the solutions we came up with. So just to tell you a bit about the process, the team, well, our team, the team who's building the website is not the team who is designing. So what we receive, the starting point is a handoff of the full page design with all breakpoints. This allows us to quickly move forward. We have everything final, and we can start building it. And this is actually the first tip I want to give you. I know it's not always possible, but I really encourage you that if you have a complex website that you want to build, it's a good idea to try to have the final design and to do it somewhere else, on Figma or a different tool, so that you can have a reference and build directly on Studio without having to try and build layouts and design layouts while you're in the platform. Because if you're dealing with complex sites, that could make things a bit harder. And usually our methodology is to go section by section, and rather than breakpoint by breakpoint, meaning that I would go each section and build all the breakpoints, desktop, tablet, and mobile, and just then move to the next section. I think if you do it breakpoint by breakpoint, moving between the breakpoints can sometimes have the potential to mess things up, and that could make your work a bit harder. So that's like the second tip of like process of how to do it. So I'm starting off with a hero fold. A few nice things that we have here is first of all this text marquee that if you click on it, you can see that it pauses. This is something that is important for accessibility. Every animation that you have on the website, you must make a possibility for the user to pause the animation if you want to. And the way we implemented that is by actually having a container, and inside it, the SVG object, which is this text. And right next to it, you can't see it here because it's overflowing. It's right there. You can see the attachment. Is another container with the exact same SVG element. And the reason we put the right one, the second one, inside a container is because after doing that, we're able to apply an ARIA hidden attribute to it. You can apply that only to containers. So that's the reason we put it inside the containers, because we don't want the screen reader to read it twice. So again, having accessibility always in mind. And after doing that, we can put a pause button, which is just a transparent button. And using Velo, we actually can remove the class that makes the transition of the of the parent container. So we have the marquee container, which has a CSS class of marquee text, and you can see here that just like using regular CSS, you're able to set an animation to it, which is called scroll left. What it does, it actually changes the translate X property from 0 to minus 50%. And because it's infinite, it's constantly moving. And once clicking this pause button, we remove this class. So it's no longer moving. Just want to share with you that actually after we started developing this website, a new element came out, which actually is a text marquee. So now it's much more easier to implement. You can find it here in the add panel. But still, I think it's good for you to know this method in case you need something really specific that cannot be achieved with this element. This is the way you would implement it. Second element here I want to discuss is the text like typewriter effect. Um, so basically, what all this is a JavaScript changing the text attribute of this element. So this element is it's just a regular text element, and we've written a JavaScript function which we save here in a public file, so we can reuse throughout other pages. And what it does, it receives the text element as a parameter. Wait, sorry, right there. And this one is fairly complex. It has a lot of settings and stuff, but you really don't have to make it that complex. At the end, what you have to understand, it's the value that it's updating, which is the HTML. So basically, we're dynamically changing the .html property to a new value. So you can do that by looping through an array of characters with an interval. But what I want to show you here that it's all JavaScripts and just the connection with Velo is the .html where you can apply on any text element. Um, and again, we put a pause button, a transparent pause button on top of it, which pauses the animation for accessibility. The next feature I want to show you is this nice hover animation. This we achieve with a custom element. So for those of you who are not familiar, a custom element allows you to actually write any custom web component you want using code. And you can see that in the layers panel that it's represented like this with the custom element. And you can give it sizing and positioning like any other regular element, studio element. And then you would set a source to it, which is a code file. And this code file would be saved here in our custom elements. And what this code does actually is create 4 containers, which have the CSS transition applied to them to make the moving gradient effect. And all that is changing is their position based on the, on the mouse XY. Actually, that's the only reason that we're using custom element. wixstudio doesn't yet give you the option to get the mouse XY position. So that's the reason we have to use a custom element in this case. I just want to direct you to a nice Velo example that can really help you get started with the custom element. So Anthony will share all the links in the chat. This is something I still use every time I build a custom element. Just grab this example, throw it in, and then just change what I need. So that's a good starting point. And just want also to add that there's also a new feature called a mouse animation that can help you achieve similar things, not exactly like this, but similar things. If you go to the animations effects and you choose an element, you see that you have mouse effects here, and you can actually have it follow your mouse or, tilt according to your mouse and a lot of cool stuff. In our case, we didn't want to compromise on the design. We wanted to be exactly as the designers intended. So we decided to implement a custom element here. Moving on to the next section. Okay, so here we have like this split into 2 layout. On the right side, we just have a regular repeater with 4 cards. And over here, we have this like kind of pixelated lettering animation and the ability to show the code for that and also to copy. And I think this solution was pretty cool because we wanted to allow the designers to make as many letters as they want. And we didn't want the hassle of placing all these elements in the editor and like, I don't know, writing code to show and hide. It seemed a bit of a hassle to us. So we came up with a solution. I want to show you it. So over here, let's look in the layers panel. And we actually have an empty repeater, which is like a grid, like a 3 by 5 grid. And actually what we do is, 1 second, um, also have a public file outside of the page code, which holds all the letters in like this matrix in arrays, okay? And then what we do is we loop through the repeater. It's right here. Loop through the repeater and then check if the value is 0 or 1. And then if it's 1, we set the background color to the color, to the green color. And if not, we set it back to transparent. So this way we really easily can add a lot of other letters and not be limited to we can have it much more scalability. Another nice thing in this section is the show code that, as you can see, it's got the nice styling, like the code formatting. So for that, we use an NPM package, an external package. So that's something you can add from here. If you go to packages and apps, you can actually search for any NPM package. The one we used for this is called Prism.js. And what it does is that it allows you to add their syntax to the HTML code, and it will automatically style it based on the language you choose or based on the syntax you use. They have the documentation. It's really simple. But the problem is that we can't really reach the HTML code of the page, right? So what we're able to do is to write the syntax like this as a string with the HTML tags. These are Prism.js tags that define in the, with lines, without lines, whatever. And then in our page code, we set this string to the text element, which is just a regular text element. So we set the HTML of that text element to the code snippet, and then we get the styling. So it's really an easy and cool solution. Let's move on to the next section. Here's the code that I just showed you. Let's move this 1 second. Okay, next section is a horizontal scroll section. It's actually with no code at all, so it looks really nice, and we actually achieved it without using any code. I just want to show you the concept of it. So basically, when we make horizontal scroll, what we want to do is have the section really, really long, and then inside it, another container, which is actually where the animation is happening, and to be wider than the screen, obviously, and sticky. And actually use the long section as a trigger for moving this sticky container to the left. And this way, we're like simulating a horizontal scroll. You can see it in the editor that this is the section. And if we scroll down, you can see that there's this white space, empty space, which is actually the section. Let's have a look at it here. So this is the section which is really long, and it holds a container which is 200 VW in width. And this long section functions as a trigger on the container. So using scroll animation with the trigger, we can set the values that we want, the distance that we want to move. In our case, it's a 100 VW because the entire container is 200 and we wanted to move it one viewport width. We're also able to play around with the animation area. If you're new to this concept, I encourage you to have a look at this tutorial. It's a great, short, really short and great tutorial that explains how to do this. And also, we have a webinar on how we built the homepage of wixstudio that also has a horizontal scroll, a great example. So you can check that out. Also in this section, we have this interactions on hover. So again, no code, really simple. All we do is set a hover interaction on the image to move to the left. And this gradient it's just a container with a gradient background. And once hover, we reveal it in a fade-in effect. And it's all under here in the animations, animations and effects panel. So really simple. One last thing about this section, which for me was new and I think really useful. You can see that in the editor, I don't see the grid, but on the website, I have the background grid here. So what you can do is actually set a grid background just with using CSS. So you can see the code here. What you do is you set a pseudo element and using background image, you can set the width of the lines and the gaps by setting the background size. And this is really good because then you don't need to put like a PNG or an SVG in the background that could potentially be really heavy. So that's a great solution for grids. Under here we have another like sticky animation section. It's actually the exact same concept as the one here, but in this case, the animation is not horizontal, it's just vertical. And the text elements here are also triggered by scroll animation. So no code here, all editor effects. Another scroll animation. This one was a bit more complex because you can see that it's required here to be very accurate because we're starting with like just three cards, and then we got all the cards moving together until they're overlapped equally one above the other. So what I just recommend to do here is to plan it out, okay? Just know your starting point and your end point. Here you can see in this diagram that on the bottom, this is the starting point. They're all spread it out. And here is the ending point where they're overlapped. So I know the width of the cards, so I'm able to calculate the distance each card needs to make. And so I do that. And once I get the value, I can set each card the distance. And the animation area, they all start with the same value because, as you can see, they start moving together, but they end one by one. So that's why we set equal intervals of the ending point for the animation. In next section, we have another text animation, like a typewriter effect. I'll just refresh so you can see it because this one runs only once. So it's the same code we discussed before, just using JavaScript and changing the text of the text element. Again, we're using here the grid, just using CSS. Here, I think this is a really nice section. And we got the grid layout. For building this, we used CSS grid. I really recommend using CSS grid for complex layouts. It's a really powerful tool, especially considering change between breakpoints. I think it's the most flexible tool, flexible layouting tool in the editor, and it's really, really easy. So if you've used a section grid, I really encourage you to explore CSS grid as well, because it's really powerful. And this hover animation, I think it's a really nice hack that I want to show you. Um, the way we did that is actually, um, let's have a look at it. So what we have here is a stack containing two text elements, um, and they sit inside a container. This container has overflow hidden, so the bottom text element cannot be seen. And then what we do is set a hover interaction on the parent of that stack, and we tell it to move up by exactly 50% once you hover. And that's how you achieve this. So I think, yeah, I think it's really cool. And I think it's a good example of what you can achieve by, thinking outside the box and not just using the animation presets that are in the editor. And we can achieve a lot of other things too. Um, yeah, let's move on. Over here, we have the section with the video of the DevCon 2 years ago, where we have this cursor that anywhere you click, it plays the video. So for setting the cursor, it's really simple. You can choose a section, and then if you scroll all the way down, you have this option, and you can actually choose any cursor that you want. And for the clicking anywhere, so what we did is, again, a transparent button. We actually set a transparent container like overlay on this entire section. And using Velo, we can grab the video player's ID and toggle the play. And, next up, we have a FAQ. FAQ a section that once clicking, it expands, of course, and clicking a different one will collapse it and expand the other one. So that we do by using Velo, looping through the repeater, and just collapsing and expanding the relevant items, and also changing the source of the SVG of this little icon to change it from plus to minus. Sorry. Last section is this social section. So here, all is hover animation, actually, except this text marquee. So this text marquee is exactly like the example I showed you on the top, but this time we just trigger it on hover. So on hover, we add the class, and then on mouse out, we remove the class, and that's all. Okay, I think I'll just briefly show you. I won't go into it because I think we need to move on. I also want to talk about the registration system we built, but I just briefly want to show you um, another cool effect that we made. For those of you who did submit their application, if you remember, once you type in your name, you got this cool avatar creator that generates a unique avatar for your name. So I don't have time to show you the code, but just the concept is the same one as you saw in the page with the grid. So it's a 5x5 grid. And over here, we have a function that kind of like encrypts strings into numbers. And we put that in an array, and then loop through the through the grid here and color the containers. And so it's really nice. The chances of two people getting the same avatar is almost impossible. Um, so yeah, just another little feature that we've done here. Now I want to talk a bit about the registration um, process that we developed here. So we actually developed a custom registration flow for this event. This is because it had very specific requirements. Actually, the requirements were the project managers, they wanted to review the applications and decide if to approve them or not. This is because it was a limited ticket event, and they wanted to have only the relevant people, the relevant audience coming. Um, so usually in these cases, what you would do is add the events app and use the widget and stuff to create your events and issue tickets. But because this requirement, we actually built our custom flow that allowed the project manager to approve applications. And what happened, how it works is that on submission, the application gets saved in the CMS. And then we built actually a admin page for the project manager where he and their team could review the applications and decide whether to approve or decline. And once approved, we built the option to send notifications. So and of course change the status of the applicant. So each notification included an email and a WhatsApp message, telling the applicant he's approved or reminding him about the event. So I just want to talk a bit about those. So for emails, we can easily trigger emails to our website. In this section here, in our dashboard, if we go to developer tools, we have triggered emails. And here we can create our templates. And for each template, we get an ID. And using Velo, we can send the emails to contacts. A key thing to understand here that a user, this is the code that sends the email. It's Velo, it's on the documentation. So in order to send emails, you must have the user saved as a contact. So what we did when the user submitted his application, we also added him as a contact. So later we can send him the emails. The next nice thing is the WhatsApp integrations. So we were actually able to integrate sending WhatsApp to our applicants using Vero. I think it's quite amazing. We did it with a service called Twilio. So this is a service that can help you with this process. The first thing you need to do is get verified by Meta as a business owner and receive a phone number. This is something Twilio can help you with. And after you're approved, Twilio has this interface. It allows you to build WhatsApp messages templates with unique IDs. And they have documentation for their NPM package. And then in the Wix editor, what you would do is install the package, and using their syntax, you're able to submit um, your template ID and your user ID and your token and so forth, and actually trigger WhatsApp messaging from Velo, from your website. I think this is something that was really great, and it's really helpful for the project managers and for the users, of course. One last thing that is quite nice for the custom flow that we created is this RSVP page. So in the notifications we send our users, we wanted to know if they could RSVP or not. So we build a page, an RSVP page under the DevCon domain um, that actually reads the URL parameters. And according to that, updates the CMS automatically if they are planning to arrive or not. So the URL included their ID and their email and true or false. This is how we can easily automatically update our CMS accordingly. So actually, the only part where we utilize the events app is just at the end phase, and we used a function that issues tickets. I just want to direct you to another link, which you can find an example of how to use the events app in a custom flow. Like,
Nadav,
yeah,
sorry, but we are eating into Vargob's time. Would we be able to
yeah,
end?
I'm just about done.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So anyways, this is a good starting point for you to implement an event ticket purchase flow using Velo without using their UI or their widgets. Yeah, so that was actually my last point. I think some key takeaways I'd like you to take with you. I think I constantly said the word custom here. Um, I think you shouldn't be afraid of building, custom flows and custom UIs. I really encourage you not to be limited to the components that the editor shows you, but think outside the box and be creative. Really, the sky's the limit here. Um, so yeah, the useful links are here. Anthony, I will share them in the chat. And I don't know if we're doing questions now or later, but Anthony, I'll leave that to you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Nadav, for the excellent presentation. It's really great, just honestly, personally, to see all the design and thought that went into it. And we found it very educational. Also, there were no questions, but the chat also found it very educational and said you should open your own YouTube channel. So maybe you should consider that in the future. Anyway, now, Vargab, take it away and let us know how the conference went and maybe give us a little bit of info about yourself.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nadav. That was awesome. We personally heard back from a lot of partners who attended the conference that they really found the website to be intuitive, and yeah, it was a great experience to even put the applications there. So, quick introduction: I'm Bhargav. I'm the GM for Wix in India, and yeah, it was the first time that Wix did its global developer conference in India. It was a full house, and yeah, there was literally no space to stand. Um, so yeah, I would like to kind of present and tell you all the great things that happened there. So let me just share my screen. All right. Anthony, just give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay, super. All right. So this is a retrospective. I'll quickly kind of give you a glance of the event, what the goals were, what were some of the things that absolutely wowed us, some of the agenda highlights, what we heard back from attendees, some of the challenges we faced, and what's in the future. All right. So this was a one-day event in Bangalore. Why Bangalore? Because it's sort of India's Silicon Valley, is what they say. Because you've got all the IT companies and the massive internet giants who are headquartered here. So that's why we did the event in Bangalore. It's in the southern part of India. We had about 5,600 applications almost at the end of it. Even when the event was going on, we were getting like 25 applications every hour. So that's how much FOMO we had created that people desperately wanted to get into the event. We were able to get in about 700 people, some of India's best agencies and IT service companies, some of the best freelancers in web design, digital marketing, web development. So we had a very good mix of large IT giants as well as great agencies as well as freelancers. And they were into app development and website design, digital marketing. So it was a great mix of uh, the crafts as well as the company sizes. And almost 30% or more were people from out of town who actually flew down from various parts of the country, which was awesome. As you can see in the picture here, it was a really grand state and it was pretty awesome. The house was packed. So some of the main goals were to create an ecosystem of web developers, designers, and some great agencies. I think it's super important for any platform of uh, our kind to have a moat for the business. I think an ecosystem like this definitely serves like one because companies like yours build on top of our platform. It kind of helps not just you build your client's business on top of our platform, but also it kind of helps our platform to focus on the most important things as you customize solutions for different kinds of clients. So you're an extended part of the company, doing great at your craft, whether it's web development, design, etc. So one of the key goals was to create a more thriving ecosystem of that in India, and I think we did well there. Also, Wix Studio, a product that we launched last year, catering to agencies and enterprises. I think we wanted a great stage to talk about that event, and this served to be that same one. And we also wanted to talk and educate the market on Wix's developer platform, Wix blocks. So a bunch of the keynotes from the Wix CTO or the head of Wix's developer platform, the head of Wix's developer relations team. I think it was a very good blend of talks and workshops and panel discussions to help the market understand more about Wix's developer-centric products and agency-centric products. Finally, I think a lot of people come to events to meet new people and network and collaborate. I think that definitely happened and we saw a lot of networking. The second half of the day was mostly about people meeting and talking and exchanging notes with each other. So I think I can confidently say that we crushed all of these goals that you see here. So some of the things that wowed us and everyone in that roof is that which studio and its developer products um, kind of focuses on agencies and enterprises, and Wix's original positioning of catering to self-creators, I think it's slowly changing. We see, thousands of agencies now who are, very keen to try out Wix's developer products and Wix's agency-centric capabilities. I think that's super important. And we also saw that they, you know, um, there were way more people than we expected at the event. We were 20% more than what we had expected at the event, which shows that the community is very keen to adopt our developer products. One of the common feedback points that what we saw is that agencies are fast moving away from open source development and custom tech stacks because it just takes too much go to market time, and clients often don't have very significant budgets. And that's why products like Wix Studio have been performing really well for their clients. The go to market time significantly reduces, and the pricing goes more towards system integrations and more custom development work. So it's a win-win-win for clients, agencies, as well as for Wix. So that these are, I think, some of the things that definitely wowed us in that sense. Um, so if I were to like pick some of my favorite talks, and this is, I think, across various agencies who came and told us as well. There was this really cool workshop done by Kobe Gamliel. He's the head of agency growth globally for Wix, and he did this really awesome agency client relationship workshop, which spoke about how does an agency build a relationship with a client, like how are you like warm, how do you have empathy, as well as how do you sound professional, how do you make sure clients pay on time, and as well as how do you build that relationship that you get like a recurring contract with them. I think that was like a really well received session. There's also this really cool session of full stack app development from ideation to like deployment and through which blocks done by Ido and Bar. I think that session was also like a full house. There's literally no place to stand. Like even for India standards, where you've got thousands of people sometimes in a very small area. Like in the workshop, we had like over 100 people just probably in a 60 people room. Like people absolutely wanted to be a part of this session, and it was really well received. The people were really curious about how they can customize widgets for for different kind of clients, how it can be replicated to multiple stores, how they could potentially publish it on the Wix app market, what are potential distribution methods, how do you ensure that your apps perform well? I think there were some really good questions as well. Another finally, we saw like a very high turnout for the headless e-commerce storefront with Next.js session as well. We had um, Netanel from the e-commerce team speaking on the session. I think there's significant interest about headless solutions, especially in enterprises, people who want to have like different kinds of solutions in their tech stack, who are keen to know more about headless. I think it also gives agencies more opportunities to earn by building headless solutions. We also see that happening across enterprises who are using more sophisticated ERP software, who are keen on in headless solutions. So that's a session that we saw garner a lot of interest. Also, there was this panel discussion which was sort of like mostly external. We had a lot of external speakers come in from Red Hat and Hashnode and DevRel Squad and Postman and AppWrite. And those sessions were also highly appreciated. We had, say, mostly developer advocates and full stack engineers speak in this particular panel discussion. It was really well received. Um, yeah, so if you are remotely on social media, you may have seen hundreds and if not thousands of posts about this particular event. People went absolutely bonkers on social media on how much they loved this event, the production quality, the content, the way it was managed. A lot of people said that they've never seen this kind of Indian event before, even though companies like Google and Meta and uh, IBM, they all do events here, but I think with the standards of doing this event and not charging for it, was like a free event. It was just like we just vetted applications. We didn't sell tickets for this event, and that was really well received in India. And yeah, I think it was phenomenal. People really loved it. If you just type in Wix on LinkedIn, like you'll see hundreds of posts from people who attended on how much they enjoyed this conference. We had about 50 people from Europe and US of the team flown down to India. So there were a lot of these great one-on-one discussions as well. People really enjoyed that. So, okay, some of the challenges that we faced. So, one was the large number of applications. So that was my team that was kind of reviewing these applications. And like I said, there were like 5,600 applications, and we were trying to review as many as we could. And we were trying to get the right set of people together. We wanted like a right mix of people. So, from different crafts like development, design, marketing, as well as profiles like freelancers, agencies, big IT giants. So I think that the reviewing was, I think Nadav was showing, how the registration form where people spoke about, okay, here are the platforms that we worked on, or here's my LinkedIn profile or my Twitter account. So we kind of looked at all of that and made sure that the best kind of people were approved to attend the conference, and also creating content for non Wix users. We wanted to make sure that even if someone has not worked on Wix in the past, we wanted to cater to that audience and give them more like a holistic understanding of the craft as well as the platform. So that was sort of a challenge for some time. I think we overcame that with flying colors. So yeah, looking ahead, what's coming up, we would love to nurture this community and further help grow their agency business. I think all of these business owners who came in, usually they had like there was a sweet spot of like 25 to 50 people companies, or 25 to some companies were 100 or 300 people, but most of them I think were between that 30 to 50 people headcount companies, and they all wanted to expand. And there's a lot of discussion around, okay, how do you acquire more? How do you cater to more markets? How do you hire? So those were some really interesting discussions, and we want to help the community become better at some of these things. We also would like to do more meetups in different cities and engage more partners. So that's expected in the coming months. And we also, I think the workshops and panel discussions from external speakers was really well received, and that's something that we want to continue doing. So we expect to do more workshops in the future as well. So yeah, one of some of our key takeaways were that India's partner network is not just building for India, but it has a big focus on US, Europe, and Australia. I think some of you who joined from North America today or from Europe have been seeing that you collaborate a lot with Indian agencies and freelancers who are doing great work and catering to the Western clientele. There's no dearth of technical talent in this country, and I think it's coming down to a sweet spot where India's become sort of like a outsourcing hub, not just for enterprises, but also for like small and medium businesses. We also spoke a lot in the conference about how AI is turning out to be imperative for agencies, and it's important for agencies to use AI to be hyper efficient. In fact, the first keynote that our CTO did, the first talk at the event was by Yaniv Ebenheim. He's our CTO. He spoke about how AI can help companies become like hyper efficient. I think that was a very well received talk. And we also like usually Wix is not really associated a lot to like large IT companies, but we saw companies like TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, or Infosys, Wipro, Accenture, Cognizant Technology. So we saw like some of these multi-billion-dollar service companies have their developers, dozens of developers attend this conference, and they're looking to explore Wix Studio for some of their bigger brands across the globe. So those were at least my personal takeaways. So that's about it. So we that this was the legendary team which produced this event, and yeah, I'm excited to do more such events in the future. So I think that's from my side.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bhargav. Yeah, it was really great just seeing not just Wix's broad focus on product, but also our broad focus on community, and seeing how much everybody really liked the event. And I think some really great things came out of it. So yeah, thank you very much to both of you for your wonderful presentations, and for all the attendees for joining not just this chat, but also the conference. We could not do it without our community. And so yeah, this has been our second spotlight. We'll have another one in August, but haven't settled on a topic just yet. And just one reminder too, we are having a hackathon that's starting next Monday, July 22nd, where the challenge is going to be to build a Wix blocks or Wix Studio template. And there's $20,000 total in prizes, with a $10,000 grand prize. And you can find out all the details about that at mergewebdev.com. So that's another event you can hop into very, very soon. But yeah, thank you both very much. And this has been great.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.